Welcome back to another episode, guys. We are on death's doorstep. We finally got to the Temple of the Six Gods. Our only hope of defeating Abaddon is to try and rally some gods here, but Shiro and the Lich are stood in the middle and they're ready to kill us. They're in our way, so I hope you enjoy the episode. Anyway, so yeah, the temple is where a lot of kind of stuff happens, both in the gameplay sense and in the story sense. So I'll see what I can do. Okay, first thing is the bonus for this mission. Pretty much the Margonites have defaced all of the shrines to the other gods, as we were told before. The only shrine that hasn't been defaced is Abaddon's one, which, funnily enough, if you actually go to it, you can read the scriptures, but you can't actually see the statue there. The statue just seems to be missing. But anyway, so the bonus is to recapture all of the shrines. There's actually a boss fight in here. If I try and get a good look for you... Oh, I'll just hell, let's just go in. Okay, so you'll see that it's a kind of a big ring, and inside are both Shiro and the Lich. Did the Margonites wear you out? No? Good. We hoped you might have some strength left for us. Okay, so the undead Lich speaks, and so does Shiro. You cannot stop Nightfall. Abaddon shall rule the world as the one and only true God. And you have to fight the big bosses from the previous games at the same time at the end of a super long mission, which is why this mission was so hard. So to complete the mission you kill them, but the bonus, as you can see, you got all of these shrines: Lissa's shrine, Grent's, Abaddon's, Duena's, Balthazar's and Melandru's. The bonus is to reclaim all of the shrines by killing Margonites that are at them. Now I will say one way that people like to do it that makes it very easy, which you might not be aware of, you can actually flag heroes by using the minimap like that. If you decide to wait before Shiro, if you don't walk in, Shiro and the Lich won't become hostile because of the way that the game works with the scripting. So what you can very simply do is have your heroes go to each shrine like so, and they'll walk through, and then they can kill the Margonites on their own and capture the shrines without you having to deal with the bosses and the shrines at the exact same time. That's what people do with full hero parties. I want to show you it authentically, and it's not like I'm in hard mode or anything, so I'm hoping to be okay. So we'll go in. Usually Shiro, as you know from the end of Factions, is a way harder boss than the Undead Lich. What people usually do is the Undead Lich will mess up your enchantments though. So what people usually do is try and kill the Lich first. What I'm going to do, another really good tip here, I really would recommend it to everyone, is space everyone the hell out. Shiro generally won't do much damage to you until you start specifically hurting him. So if you ignore him, you should be reasonably okay for the start. So as you can see here, I'm wailing on the Lich, and we're going to try and kill him. Really a bit of a pushover, I think. I would have liked that, if they're going to make this mission so hard, I really would have liked them to have made the Lich a bit harder. But there we go, so we killed the Lich for the second time and he's out. Right, now what people do is completely ignore Shiro, because like I said, he doesn't do much damage to you unless you start damaging him. So as long as you're continually flagging your people, you can then have Shiro. He will continue to follow you. He has massive aggro. He won't give up trying to kill you, but he's pretty easy to out-heal at this stage. So you just leave him alone and come to all of the different shrines. You can see Melandru's shrine we're now taking over, and when you actually kill the Margonites here and take over the shrine, you actually get blessings from the gods themselves, which kind of hints that maybe the gods are watching us in some way. Okay, okay, so everybody ignore Shiro. What I usually like to do is I've got my heroes all set to attack and stuff, so if you just keep flagging them, they will not attack. Okay, so there you go. Melandru's been activated and we get all of these. We get Strength of the Oak blessing, shielding branches on us, and the Dervish of the Earth. And every time you go to one of these shrines, you get a crap loads more effects. So what you actually end up having is there's 5 gods you can do this to, and you have so many effects on you, and just everyone will be completely massively buffed up, which will inevitably really help with the fight. Someone's still over there, aren't they? See, this is my worry. I don't have a compass, and heroes can get stuck quite often. I'm a little bit worried they're going to get stuck with Shiro and end up getting slaughtered. At every shrine you get enemies of the specific profession. So we're at the Balthazar shrine right now, so yeah, we get lots of warriors to fight. Statue to Balthazar. Funnily enough, while this is the only place in the game where you can find Shiro's inscription, you can't find anyone else's inscriptions here, which is a bit weird. That actually brings me on to my next point, which I'll talk about more when we've captured all of these shrines. So I think I'll speed up this point. You kind of can see everything that's going on. We've rallied 2 of 5. What have we got? Battle Fervor, you attack 10% faster. Warrior's Might, your attacks have more armor penetration. Dervish of the Blade, we have more Scythe Mastery. All kinds of stuff. It's pretty great. And as you can see, the statues are desecrated. This is Dwayna's, and it's been completely broken down. I think that's mostly just because that's the animation for Dwayna's statue, but there you go. We have rallied 3 of 5 of the 5 gods' avatars. 2 left. Naturally, Abaddon's one is dead square in the middle. And we'll go up there in a moment. And he actually gets a completely different mark. Can you see that? He gets like a ring around his, and everyone else has just a regular ankh, which is quite weird. Okay, so that's Grenth done. We now have unnatural resistance. We have a dark aura. We've also got an aura of light and a cloak of faith from Dwayna. And last but not least, Lissa, who, as you can see, her statue is wrapped in all of these vines and stuff. Okay, so there we go. That's Lissa done as well. What I've also done is, for the purposes of reading this inscription, I've made everybody set to away, so that they're not going to fight Shiro, so he's not going to lose loads of health and then start devastating our team. So, right, what we're going to do is go over to the Abaddon Shrine. Now, I'm not sure whether I like what they did here. What we get at this inscription is really the answers we've been looking for. If we've just been playing through, we still don't know much about the circumstances of what happened. Why did Abaddon end up getting into this war with the other gods? And this is the bit that teaches us it. And yet, it's in the middle of this massive boss fight, which, like I say, is ridiculously difficult and all these kinds of things. And oh, I think Melani's still attacking, actually. Yeah, no Melani. Bad Melani. And yeah, it's right here. It's kind of like in Factions where you had that timed mission with loads of text to read. It's just a bit weird. But here we go. So this is the statue of Abaddon, which is actually missing. But you can read the scripture. Okay? And so it came to pass that Jadoth, being persecuted by the horrific forgotten armies, and hounded from his home, did seek refuge amongst the cooling mists of the crystal sea. Untold weeks passed as Jadoth huddled in his sanctuary, with nothing to see save the endless ripples of the boundless ocean. On the 51st day of his exodus, a frightful sight manifested before Jadoth's eyes, the unmistakable shape of forgotten warships upon the horizon's shimmering edge. And prayed Jadoth, Abaddon, Lord of the everlasting depths, keeper of secrets, open mine eyes and bestow upon me the knowledge of the abyss, that I might smite mine enemies and send them to the watery depths. An unsettling silence swept across the waves. The twilight sky shattered and stars streaked down upon the forgotten armada. The seas boiled and ruptured, giving birth to a maelstrom from which not even light could escape, transforming the sky above into a midnight void. And thus was magic gifted to Jadoth, chosen of Abaddon, the first of the Margonites. Scriptures of Abaddon, dated the year 1 BE. So you kind of have to look into it a little bit closely. First thing I will say is the first of the Margonites. Obviously, he's not actually the first of the Margonites. There was a whole culture of people living there, but this was probably, as far as I can see, when these people first started to worship Abaddon. What happened was Abaddon started giving magic to the races of Tyria, and if you remember from prophecies, that led to massive wars. King Doric made a huge pilgrimage to beg to Dwayna to stop it. Everybody started killing each other, and there was just a massive war going on. Abaddon, the other gods were like, okay, and they agreed, alright, we'll take magic away, but Abaddon didn't agree. He wanted to just keep giving magic to everyone, and he caused loads of chaos, and he started using the Margonites themselves to assault other people on Tyria, and that's how this war ended up breaking out. Of course, we do know the story from prophecies that we never knew in prophecies what exactly happened, but we did know that eventually the gods got their own way, and they split all of the magic they gave to the races into the bloodstones, which is essentially why humans have professions, why no one human can use all magic in the world. But obviously this only applies to the magic that the gods had given to the races of the world. As we know, there were races long before the gods came to Tyria, and they had magic before then. So like the Messart with their spectral agony and stuff, that's not affected by the bloodstones. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The story goes that Abaddon started giving really powerful magic. As you can see here, he summoned this whole maelstrom. This sounds really devastating, and it started causing chaos. And in a way, if I think about it, I kind of like Abaddon he was just being generous. He was just giving magic to the races, and yeah, it was causing chaos and stuff. but essentially it was generosity he was showing, and that was why he was smited down. But of course we do know he was bad. There were those talks of how he went to war with the other gods. He actually attacked 2 of them and defeated 2 of them. We don't know which 2. And then there was obviously the huge fight at the gates of heaven and all kinds of stuff, and it just escalated and escalated, and eventually he was broken and sent down here. So yeah, this is, and obviously this is also where we get all of the hints that he was god of oceans and such forth, rather than the god of like water in small amounts, as we know Grenth was, Grenth being the god of ice. Anyway, I kind of feel a bit jumbled in my head right now, but I hope I described that properly. I really like this this inscription, and I like how the last inscription plays such a key role in the story. But there we go. So there we go. Right. Now for Shiro. So now back to gameplay style stuff. Right. This is the easiest way to beat him. I would recommend this to anyone really. First and foremost, you want to flag your team apart. So lay flags so that everybody's spread out. As we all know, or as we might know, Shiro, when he's low on health, he does a devastating skill called Impossible Odds, which can wipe a team pretty much instantly. Right at the end, the last hurdle, he can be on super low health and he'll gain loads back and just wipe everyone if you're clustered together. So you want to spread everyone out like that. I will cut it while I bring everybody back onto attack mode. Okay, there we go. Everybody's now attacking. Now, the other thing, he's going to get low on health. How do we survive against Impossible Odds? What's the easiest way? Right, so I'm using Zed Shadowhoof, who usually is an AoE attacker. We're only fighting one person here, so I usually like to put on the AoE attacker. If you make them Ritualist secondary and put some communing up, then disable all of these AoE skills, which aren't going to be very helpful anyway against Shiro, and undisable these 3. He will keep these spirits up. This is Shadow Song, this is Displacement, and this is Armor of Unfeeling. Even Armor of Unfeeling you don't really need. Shadow Song is going to keep Shiro permanently blinded, which means he can't really do any damage. He does have a skill which means if he ever hits with an attack, he'll remove a condition from himself. And what that means is that if he does get lucky with the blind, it will remove the blind and then he can start hurting you again. But this skill here, Displacement, means everybody blocks loads. So he's got a 90% chance to miss from blindness attacks, and then if he ever does get one through, he's got a further 75% chance to be blocked, which just renders him essentially completely harmless. And if you just do that with a guy, he's not going to be able to hurt your party. Look at my team. I mean, we're getting blinded. Here's Impossible Odds now, which is doing damage and which spreads conditions back onto you guys. So we're giving him bleeding and he's putting it back onto us. But aside from the conditions, he's not really doing much at all. And this is just the easiest way to kill him. Lots of people say to add like empathy and insidious parasite and all different skills like that, which will make him kill himself essentially when he uses Impossible Odds. But I tend to find this a lot safer because it's just so hard for him to do any damage in the first place. And yeah, there you go. This is, I mean, I'm one of the people that really hated this and used to die at Shiro all the time, but now it's just very easy, very, very simple technique. I'm actually losing a lot of health right now, which shouldn't be happening, but there we go. He's almost dead. And when he dies, we're actually going to be introduced to my favourite, this is my favourite cutscene in all of Guild Wars. And I might have to explain it a little bit, why in the next episode, but what we're seeing here is pretty much massively, massively significant to both Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. What we're pretty much seeing is the second exodus of the gods. So yeah, we're here in the temple, desperate for some help, desperate for the gods to see us and lend us a hand.
Gods, we beseech you, hear our prayers.
We have come where living men should not be. We have fought armies, crossed wastelands, and conquered demons. Now we are in the heart of torment. We must destroy Abaddon before he destroys the world. But we cannot battle him alone.
You are not alone. The gods are always watching.
Watching? We need your help. We are only mortals and challenge a god.
There was a time when the gods walked the earth. Every thought and achievement was a gift of the gods. But now you must realize that our gifts are within you. Dwayna lives in your compassion, Balthazar in your strength. Melandru dwells in your harmony, Grenth in your justice. And in your inspiration, Lissa is there. The divinity is within you, and so we give you our blessing. That should suffice for the task ahead. And to you, Cormyr, a most special gift. This is your world now. This is your decision. You must make a choice that a mortal could make.
Our decision? They leave us some words of encouragement and expect us to fight a god?
The gods said we have a choice. A choice that only a mortal could make.
Yes. Yes, there is a choice. We can end this. We don't have to be driven by gods and their avatars. Let us go.
So there we go. You might not think much of that. 5 of 5 gods rallied, so there's the Master's Reward for you. But I think it is a pretty great cutscene, just because if you took this into context of something else, you know, we're completely down there, feel completely forsaken, and then the gods don't even seem to offer us any help. They just give you words of encouragement. I reckon that could be such a dramatic moment. The other thing I really like, and this is probably because my main character's always been a mesmer, so I've always felt a certain affinity to Lyssa. But the other thing I quite like about that is the fact that Dwayna is there. Dwayna's avatar is there. She's the leader of the gods. And even Dwayna isn't the one that talks to us. Dwayna doesn't have it in her to inspire us. She's just not up to the task of being the one to tell us that they can't help us and stuff. And so it's actually Lyssa, not the leader of the gods. Lyssa is the one that turns around and is actually the one who ends up speaking to us, which I just think is really, really cool. And it just makes me appreciate Lyssa all that much more. Anyway, next episode, guys, is actually going to be the last episode of Nightfall. Hopefully, it'll probably be quite a long one. You'll notice factions, I did quite a long episode at the end, and I'll probably do quite a long episode at the end of here as well. We're at Abaddon's Gate, you probably noticed that. Really cool stuff to show you. It's just hopefully it's going to be a really good episode. So I hope you enjoyed this one, I very much do, and I will see you next time.